My name is Alicia Smith and I'm 32 years old. If you'd told me a year ago that I would one day walk into my own home and watch the life I built collapse in slow motion, I would have laughed. I used to believe heartbreak came with warning signs, raised voices, drifting distance, the closing of emotional doors. But sometimes it comes quietly hidden beneath routines, smiles, and the illusion that the person you love could never hurt you. I live alone, or at least I thought I did in the townhouse my grandfather left me when he passed 4 years ago. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, white shutters, a porch swing that creaks whenever the wind is unkind. I poured myself into that place painting walls, fixing leaky faucets, sanding cabinets down to bare wood. It's worth about 340 grand in today's market, but to me, it's the last piece of a man who taught me how to stand tall. This matters. Remember it. My boyfriend Robert Rivera moved in a year ago. Back then, he felt like the missing piece. We'd been together 2 years, officially talking about marriage for the last 6 months. He didn't make much, maybe $800 a month, working part-time at a boutique downtown, but I didn't care. I made enough as an IT consultant, and I thought love meant sharing the load. I paid the mortgage and most expenses. He chipped in for groceries and utilities, maybe $400 a month total. I didn't mind. I really didn't. In my mind, we were a team. Though recently, something had shifted. Robert became distant without being gone, affectionate without being sincere. His phone always face down, his shirt smelled of cologne I didn't buy. And sometimes he showered at strange hours, claiming he'd sweated at the gym, even when his gym clothes were still folded on the chair. I didn't want to be paranoid. I told myself I loved him. I told myself he loved me. Last Thursday, fate stripped away every comforting lie. I'd finished a client call early. When I hung up, I felt good light even, so I decided to surprise him with lunch. I grabbed his favorite Panera salad on the way home, the Asian sesame one with extra dressing that he always made me steal from the condiment counter. I pulled into the driveway. His white Honda Civic was there, but so was another car. A sleek black Audi A4, unfamiliar, expensive looking, too clean, too new. Something inside me stilled. I unlocked the front door, holding 2 salads and icy drinks. The house was quiet at first, like it was holding its breath. But then I heard it. That sound. The one that makes your heart stop and your brain refuse to process. It was coming from upstairs. For a moment, I stood frozen in the doorway, Panera bags trembling in my hands. My first thought was, no, he wouldn't. My second was, that's my bedroom. I climbed the stairs on legs that felt detached from my body. The door was halfway open, and I saw them. Robert, and a woman I had never seen before, in my bed. My bed, in my house, in the room I'd painted navy blue because he said it made him feel calm. They scrambled the moment they saw me like roaches when the lights come on. The woman fell over herself, grabbing a sheet. Robert tripped, trying to put on his jeans. I stood there for 10 seconds, maybe 12. Long enough for my mind to split into 2 people, one watching the other, unraveling silently. I finally said. Just that. Flat. Emotionless. The kind of sound you make when you drop a glass and watch it shatter before you can react. Alicia, baby, wait, it's not what Robert stammered, voice soaked in panic. The woman, pretty polished, smelling faintly of something expensive, stared at me with a look I couldn't place. Guilt, maybe. Satisfaction, maybe that too. You should leave, I said to her. My voice didn't shake. That surprised me. You can use the front door. Robert's eyes widened. Alicia, don't do this. Let me explain. The woman bolted past me, clutching her clothes to her chest. 30 seconds later, the front door slammed hard enough to rattle the pictures on the wall. Robert remained in front of me, half-dressed, breathing heavily. Please don't assume the worst, he whispered, reaching toward me like I was something fragile. I set the salads on the dresser. Get dressed, Robert. He swallowed hard. Alicia. I swear this was a mistake. It only happened once. Don't lie, I said. Quiet, calm, cold. He flinched, like the words slapped him. I walked downstairs. I didn't wait to see if he followed. I sat on the couch where we'd planned our wedding seating chart 3 weeks earlier, where we talked about one day maybe having kids, where he'd shown me pictures of rings not knowing he already had one. I felt nothing. It was almost peaceful. Robert came down minutes later, face blotchy hair, tangled eyes, desperate. He reached for me again. I moved away. Alicia, I'm so sorry, he whispered, voice breaking. I don't know what happened. She's just a girl from my old gym class who... Gym class, I looked at him. Really looked at him. No, Robert. Don't insult me like that. He went pale. Pack a bag, I said. You're leaving. What? No, this is my home too. My home, I corrected softly. Not ours. But where I said. Past tense. He stared at me, eyes filling again. You can't do this. Where am I supposed to go? Your mother lives 20 minutes away, I replied. You'll be fine. And what am I supposed to tell her? He shot back. The truth, I said. Tell her you brought another woman into your girlfriend's house and got caught. His expression twisted with outrage and shame. You're being cruel. No, I said. I'm being honest. Pack a bag. His voice cracked. Alicia, please don't do this. We can fix this. We can talk. But something inside me had already shut down. A door closed, locked from the inside. He tried bargaining, crying, lying, blaming. I didn't move. And as he dragged his suitcase to the door an hour later, mascara dark under his eyes from crying, something small, sharp, and final clicked into place inside me. Alicia, he begged. I'll come back tomorrow for the rest of my things, okay? We'll arrange something, I said. He left. The door slammed. Silence swallowed the house whole. And for the first time in a long while, the quiet felt like safety. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. Not because I'd slept well, I hadn't, but because my body refused to let me drift back into denial. The house felt strange without Robert's noise, his cologne, his half-finished coffee mugs he always left on the counter. The silence was cleaner now, but heavy like dust settling after an explosion. I stepped into the kitchen and noticed something out of place. His gym bag still leaning against the breakfast bar. It shouldn't have bothered me as much as it did, but something about seeing it there, abandoned and careless, twisted in my chest. This was who he was leaving traces of himself everywhere, expecting me to handle the cleanup. Not anymore. Before I could talk myself out of it, I texted an old college friend, Evan, who owned a small moving company. Hey, I need help moving someone's belongings today. Everything. Can you come? His response came 30 seconds later. Are you okay? No, I typed. But I will be. Can you come on my way? No charge. By the time he arrived with his crew, I had already gathered Robert's scattered items into one room: shoes, sweaters, his cologne collection, the hats he wore to cover his bad hair, days, the stupid gold chain he bought after seeing some influencer wear the same one. We packed everything. Every item he had touched in my house was boxed, taped, labeled. I refused to let myself think about the nights he held me while wearing these shirts, or the mornings he kissed me before grabbing these jackets. To keep myself grounded, I worked like a machine, focused, efficient, unshakable. Then Evan held up something I hadn't seen before, a folded receipt tucked deep inside Robert's nightstand. Did you want this? He asked. I took it from him. A hotel receipt dated 3 weeks ago. My stomach fell. That was the weekend Robert told me he was with a friend from the gym. We had not gone to any hotel. The lie wasn't new, but the evidence felt like new betrayal layered on top of old wounds. I folded the receipt carefully and put it in my back pocket. It throbbed like a wound. Once everything was boxed, I gave Evan Robert's mother's address. I'd been there before during Christmas. She lived in a beautiful 2-story home with a brick driveway and a porch wide enough to host every regret she'd ever projected onto her son. We drove the moving truck there, arranged the boxes neatly on her porch, lined up and organized, not thrown or tossed. I wanted everything to be undeniable, factual, impossible for them to twist into a victim narrative. I wrote a simple note and taped it onto the top box. Your son can explain why his belongings are here. Please contact me by text only if anything is missing. I took photos time-stamped, clear, thorough. Documentation mattered now. This wasn't just heartbreak anymore. This was self-defense. On the drive home, I could finally breathe again. By the time we unloaded the last piece of Robert's furniture into the truck, I felt lighter than I had in months. Evan hugged me before leaving. You're stronger than you think, he said. I didn't feel strong. I felt hollow. But sometimes hollow is the beginning of rebuilding. When I got home, I immediately called a locksmith. Today, I said, urgent. By late afternoon, every lock was changed. New deadbolt, new keypad code, garage recoded, every digital password, updated streaming accounts, home Wi-Fi, banking apps, email, logins, everything. It was almost therapeutic watching pieces of my old life vanish behind new layers of security. That's when my phone buzzed. 17 messages, all from Robert. Why aren't you answering? We need to talk. Where are my things? Alicia, seriously. This is childish. You're overreacting. Please call me. We can fix this. Don't shut me out. Alicia. Answer me. I ignored them until the locksmith finished. Only when the new locks clicked into place did I send one message. Your belongings are at your mother's house. I've changed the locks. Contact me only by text if anything is missing. My phone blew up instantly. 30 messages exploded across the screen like fireworks of entitlement. What do you mean my stuff is at my mom's? You had no right. I'm coming over right now. You can't just throw me out. Open the door. I responded with one line. I absolutely can. It's my house. Minutes later, my Ring camera lit up motion detected. I tapped the video feed. Robert, his mother, and his older sister. All three stood on my porch, furious arms crossed like a jury, ready to deliver a verdict. I pressed the intercom. Can I help you? Robert stepped forward. Alicia opened the door. Now. No thanks, I replied. His mother leaned close to the camera, lips pinched tight. Young lady, you cannot treat someone like garbage and expect no consequences. He has rights. No lease, no rent, no ownership, I said calmly. Anything else? Robert's eyes were red. How can you be this cold? I made a mistake. Correct, I said, and the consequence is you no longer live here. His sister pushed forward. What about the ring? Her voice dripped with accusation. The ring. The one I didn't even know he had yet. His grandmother's ring, the same one his mother had once showed me, with teary pride at Thanksgiving. Robert swallowed hard. I need it back. I was going to propose to you. His mother hissed. You stole it. No, I said. It's in your mailbox. I didn't want it. Their faces dropped in synchronized shock. You can check it after you leave, I added. Good evening. I turned off the intercom. They stayed on my porch 5 more minutes, arguing loudly with each other, but I didn't watch. I didn't need to. I'd already reclaimed my house, my peace, my dignity. That night, the townhouse felt like it belonged to me again. Actually belonged to me. But deep down, a quiet unease curled in my stomach. People like Robert don't disappear from your life cleanly. And people like the woman in my bed, the ex-girlfriend with the expensive perfume, don't walk away without leaving a shadow. Something told me this was only the first storm. The first week after Robert left felt deceptively calm, as if life were finally allowing me to breathe. I focused on cleaning the house, organizing drawers, cooking meals I liked instead of the ones he preferred. But calm rarely lasts when the person you cut out of your life refuses to accept the ending. On Monday morning, I woke up to 32 notifications from Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn for some reason. Robert had posted a long, dramatic update. After 2 years of supporting my girlfriend emotionally and financially, she threw me out with no warning. She took all my belongings while I was at work. I have nowhere to go. I've been manipulated for years, and I finally found the strength to walk away. He followed it with a sad black and white photo of himself looking at the floor. The comments exploded. You deserve better. She sounds toxic. Men get abused too. Stay strong, king. His ex-girlfriend commented a broken heart emoji. Of course she did. It was almost impressive how fast he crafted a believable narrative. He made himself the victim, painted me as controlling and vindictive, even implied I kept him dependent on me financially. If I didn't know the truth, I might have believed him too. But the worst part wasn't the lies. It was the people who believed them instantly. By noon, I received several messages from mutual acquaintances. Wow. Didn't expect that from you. Robert is devastated. Why would you kick him out? We're all shocked. Shock. He'd slept with another woman in my bed. But sure, I was the problem. I ignored the messages. What was I supposed to do? Argue in comments like a teenager. Still, anger simmered low in my stomach. That evening, my HOA emailed me. We have received 3 noise complaints regarding your property between Friday and Sunday. Noise complaints, I hadn't had a single visitor. I didn't even turn the TV volume above 10. 3 emails in 3 days, allegedly, from 3 different residents. Except the complaint wording was identical right down to the misplaced comma. I called the HOA manager. I know this might sound strange, I began, but my ex-boyfriend is retaliating after I asked him to leave. A pause. Anonymous or not, she said quietly. These complaints came from the same email address. We'll be disregarding them. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. It was the first confirmation that I wasn't imagining things. Robert wasn't moving on, he was spiraling. The next escalation came 2 days later, around lunchtime. A message from Jenna, a friend who had attended our last anniversary dinner. Hey, saw Robert's posts. It doesn't sound like you. Are you okay? I sat for a moment before replying. He cheated. I caught them. I moved his belongings out. That's the truth. There was a long pause before she responded. Do you have proof he's telling everyone you abused him emotionally? I took a picture of the hotel receipt and sent it to her. Another pause. Alicia. I'm so sorry. He didn't mention any of that. Of course he didn't. But the relief of being believed didn't last long. The next day, everything imploded. I was in the middle of a call at work when the receptionist messaged me on our internal chat. "There's a man in the lobby asking for you. He says it's urgent. He's crying." My stomach sank. Please don't let it be him. I excused myself from the call and rushed to the lobby. It was Robert. He was hunched over on one of the chairs, one arm wrapped dramatically around his ribs, the other wiping tears that looked suspiciously placed. His ex-girlfriend stood next to him, holding her phone pointed toward the scene as subtly as a person holding a brick. When Robert saw me, his expression flicked from pain to something else, something calculating. "Alicia," he said loudly, projecting his voice so everyone in the room could hear, "we need to talk about the night you pushed me." Pushed him. Everyone turned to look at me. My boss was sitting in the waiting area, watching with narrowed eyes. "Robert," I said through clenched teeth, "step outside." "No," he whined. "I don't trust you not to hurt me again." He pressed his hand harder against his ribs, wincing theatrically. His ex muttered, just loud enough, "We just want closure." I walked closer, lowering my voice. "Get outside now, or I'm calling security." Robert stood slowly, like he was in terrible pain. The performance would have earned him an Academy Award if anyone was filming a tragic drama instead of a pathetic comedy. In the parking lot, his expression changed immediately. He straightened his back. The limp vanished. His breathing stopped sounding like a dying animal. "You look surprised," he smirked. "You didn't think I'd just disappear, did you?" "What are you doing?" I whispered. "Making things fair," he replied. "You humiliated me. You threw me out like trash. People think I'm weak. You ruined my life, so I'm ruining yours." "You're lying to people, Robert." He stepped closer. "And you can fix all of it, just let me come back. Tell people you overreacted. Say you're sorry. We can start over." I almost laughed. Start over. With the man who betrayed me in my own house and now staged an Oscar-worthy assault scene. "You're sick," I said. "Stay away from me." He chuckled, hands slipping into his pockets. "Or what you'll call the cops and tell them that your financially abused ex-boyfriend wants closure." I walked away. I didn't trust myself not to scream. The receptionist's eyes widened when I came back inside. My boss followed me into her office immediately. "Sit," she said. "Explain everything." So I did everything from the day I caught him cheating to the hotel receipt to his harassment campaign. My boss listened without interrupting. When I finished, she nodded slowly. "He's banned from this building. Security will be notified. If he shows up again, we call the police." Something inside me cracked, just a little, not from sadness, but from relief. That night I booked a consultation with a lawyer. I needed to know where I stood, what my rights were, how far Robert could push this before it crossed into something criminal. When I explained the entire story, the lawyer's face didn't even twitch. "This is harassment," she said. "Document everything, every message, every fake complaint, every workplace incident. If it escalates, we'll file for a restraining order." I nodded, grateful and exhausted. 24 hours later, I received a text from an unknown number. It was Robert's sister. "He's lying. He's not injured. He told our mom you attacked him because he confessed to the cheating. But he also told his ex-girlfriend you'd been hitting him for months. None of it is true. I'm sorry. He needs help and he refuses to get it. Please protect yourself." I sat on my bed, holding the phone, hands trembling. This wasn't heartbreak anymore. This was a war I never agreed to fight. Before I blocked his number for good, I sent one final message to Robert. "If you contact me again, show up at my workplace, or continue this harassment, I will file for a restraining order. This is your only warning." 3 minutes later, he replied, "You think you're so untouchable. You'll see what real consequences look like." I blocked him. Then I sat in the dark, realizing that the worst part wasn't the threat. It was the terrifying certainty that Robert wasn't done with me yet. The warning came exactly 12 days after I blocked Robert, delivered, not as a message, but as a knock on my door at 7 in the morning. I opened it half asleep, expecting a package. Instead, a man in a gray suit held out a stack of papers. "Are you Alicia Smith?" "Yes. You've been served." He handed me the envelope and walked away without another word, leaving me standing in my doorway in sweatpants, hair tied in a messy knot, heart pounding. Inside the envelope were small claims court documents. Robert was suing me. His accusations were almost impressive in their creativity. $3,000 for illegal eviction, $2,000 for emotional distress, $1,000 for stolen property, specifically missing earrings, which I didn't even know he owned or claimed to own. Reading the list felt surreal, like someone had taken my life, cut it into strips, and rearranged the pieces into a fiction where I was the villain. By the time I walked into my lawyer's office, my hands were cold with anger. She flipped through the papers, calmly, expression unchanging. Then she laughed a short, dry, incredulous sound. "This is garbage," she said. "He has 0 grounds. You own the house outright. He had no lease, no rental agreement, no financial contribution that would give him standing. And emotional distress from being caught cheating." She tapped the folder against her desk. "We'll counter for legal fees. And since he's continuing to harass you, we'll prepare a restraining order request. He's digging his own grave." For the first time in days, I exhaled. Still, as the court date approached, anxiety tugged at the edges of my sanity. Even knowing the truth was on my side didn't erase the dread. People like Robert didn't fight fair. He lied without blinking twisted narratives, with frightening ease and weaponized pity like a craft. The night before the hearing, I barely slept. The courthouse smelled like old paper and disinfectant. Robert arrived wearing a neatly pressed shirt and a soft black brace wrapped around his ribs. He was still pretending to be injured. His ex-girlfriend trailed behind him, wearing a sympathetic expression so exaggerated it almost looked like mockery. His mother was there too, clutching at tissue as if she might faint at any moment. When Robert saw me, he straightened, winced unnecessarily, and limped slightly, as if the performance were second nature now. I didn't look away. I refused to give him the satisfaction. Inside the courtroom, his lawyer, a man who looked like he practiced law from a folding table inside a strip mall, opened with dramatic flair. "Your Honor, my client was unjustly removed from his home without notice or due process. He suffered emotional and physical distress caused by the defendant's volatile behavior." My lawyer waited patiently. Not one flicker of emotion crossed her face. When it was her turn, she stood, slowly opened her folder, and began laying out evidence, like she'd been waiting her entire career for this moment. "Your Honor, the plaintiff was not a tenant. He paid no rent, had no lease, no financial obligation to the property, and contributed minimally to utilities. The defendant owns the home outright. Moreover," she tapped a stack of printed photos on the judge's bench. "These are time-stamped photographs of the plaintiff's belongings being moved safely and intact to his mother's residence." The judge studied them. Neatly stacked boxes, hangers arranged in rows, bags zipped and placed gently on the porch. My handwritten note, every detail undeniable. As for emotional distress, my lawyer continued. "The plaintiff caused the breakup by committing infidelity in the defendant's home. The defendant then became the target of a harassment campaign, including false noise complaints, defamatory social media posts, and," she paused, "a staged incident at the defendant's workplace in which the plaintiff feigned injury and made unfounded accusations of physical assault." A ripple moved through the courtroom. Even the judge looked up. Robert shifted uncomfortably. My lawyer wasn't done. "We have security footage verifying the plaintiff left the building uninjured. We also have text messages from the plaintiff's sister confirming he faked the injury." The judge leaned forward, voice cool and razor sharp. "Mr. Rivera, did you or did you not stage an injury and claim the defendant assaulted you?" Robert's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Well, she shoved me." "Answer the question," the judge said sternly. Robert stared at the table. "No," he muttered. The ex-girlfriend stiffened. His mother looked like she'd been slapped. My lawyer closed her folder. "Your Honor, we request immediate dismissal." The judge didn't hesitate. All claims dismissed. Robert's lawyer deflated like a punctured balloon. The judge continued, gaze landing firmly on Robert. "Furthermore, I'm ordering the plaintiff to pay the defendant's legal fees. This was a misuse of the court system." Robert's mother gasped loudly. But the judge wasn't finished. "Counselor," he said to my lawyer, "you mentioned harassment. Are you seeking further action?" "Yes, Your Honor. We are requesting a restraining order due to ongoing harassment and false allegations." My lawyer presented screenshots. The HOA complaints, the workplace incident notes, the sister's text, and a detailed timeline. When she finished, the courtroom was so quiet I could hear the hum of the overhead lights. The judge turned to Robert. "This behavior is concerning. The restraining order is granted. 1 year. No contact of any kind. Violate it, and you will face contempt charges and possible arrest." He banged his gavel lightly. "We're done here." Outside the courtroom, I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. Robert's mother did it for me. She lunged toward me, voice shrill with fury. "You ruined his life. Do you hear me? Ruined it. Do you know what you've done? He can't get a job now. He's depressed." Security guards approached before I had to respond. They guided her back, telling her to calm down or leave the premises. My lawyer nudged my arm. "Drink," she said lightly. "You're buying." I need something strong after dealing with that circus. For the first time in weeks, I laughed. It was small and sharp but real. We went to a bar 2 blocks away. She ordered whiskey. I ordered a gin and tonic and exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. You handled everything right, she said. Most people crumble when faced with manipulation this intense. You stayed steady. Did I asked softly. Yes, she said, and this today is the result. When I got home that night, I sat on my newly changed bed, breathing in the quiet. The walls felt safer. The air felt cleaner. For the first time since the nightmare began, I believed it might truly be over. But in the back of my mind, a shadow lingered. Because if Robert was capable of this much destruction and desperation, what would he do now that he'd lost? The restraining order protected me legally, but emotionally the past had never felt closer. The days after the court hearing felt like stepping into someone else's life. Someone calmer, someone lighter, someone who finally remembered what peace sounded like. For the first time in months, I woke up without that familiar tightness in my chest. My house, once haunted by Robert's mood swings and excuses, felt warm again, mine again. I gave myself permission to reclaim every corner he had touched. The next weekend, I repainted my bedroom. I chose a deep forest green, nothing like the navy he begged for because it's calming. This color felt like breathing in a quiet forest after a summer storm, alive and grounding. I replaced the bed, bought new sheets, new pillows, and finally the soft linen duvet I'd always wanted, but he'd complained looked too feminine. In the living room, I removed the decor he insisted on, the gold geometric pieces he claimed were modern, even though they made the place feel like a showroom instead of a home. I added artwork I actually liked, pieces with movement, color, softness. The house exhaled with me. In the spare room, I assembled a small home office with a dark wooden desk and a comfortable swivel chair. I hung plants from the ceiling, another thing Robert didn't like because they shed dirt everywhere. I didn't care. The dirt was mine. The room was mine. All of it mine. Therapy helped too. I didn't go because I felt broken. I went because I didn't want to carry Robert's poison into my future. My therapist listened, nodded, asked the right questions, and reminded me I'd handled the whole mess with clarity most people never find during heartbreak. You maintained boundaries, she said. You didn't let manipulation rewrite reality. That's rare. Her words stuck with me. I started doing things I'd put off when I was busy carrying the emotional weight of 2 adults. I set up a small home gym in the garage, something I'd wanted for years. I meal prepped without listening to Robert complain that healthy food tastes boring. I walked in the evenings after work, letting the quiet suburb settle me. Friends noticed the change. I saw them more often, coffee dates, occasional dinners, even slow afternoons at the park. They told me I looked different, not just relieved, stronger. Like you finally came back to yourself, one friend said. Maybe I did. 3 weeks passed without a single message from Robert. The restraining order seemed to have scared him into silence. His social media, which I checked only once at my lawyer's urging, had gone eerily quiet. No more dramatic posts, no more comments, no more performative suffering. Rumors trickled through mutual acquaintances, though. He was back living with his parents. He wasn't working. His ex-girlfriend had broken things off after the court fiasco. He'd tried crawling back to an older ex who apparently told him to go get therapy and stop calling. He was sinking, and the world was finally making him face it. I didn't feel joy about it, just detachment. His chaos wasn't my responsibility anymore. Eventually, I felt steady enough to try dating again. Nothing serious, coffee with a coworker's friend, a slow walk with a guy who talked too much about his workout routines, a museum visit with a quiet man who loved Impressionist art. I wasn't looking for anything big, not yet. I just wanted to remember how it felt to speak with someone who didn't treat love like a weapon. Life felt good. Not perfect, not healed, but real. Then one evening, something shattered that quiet. I came home from grocery shopping just after sunset, juggling 2 bags and humming under my breath. I set everything on the counter, relishing the warm, light, and familiar stillness of the house. After putting the last bag away, I walked toward the front door to turn the lock for the night. That's when I noticed it. A single white envelope, thin, slipped through the gap between the door and the frame. No stamp, no address. Someone had stood on my porch and quietly pushed it inside. My stomach tightened. I picked it up and opened it carefully. Inside was a glossy photograph. Robert and the woman I'd found in my bed. It looked like a selfie taken the week before I caught them laughing in a gym mirror, pressed close like they were the only 2 people in the world. But the back of the photograph held a message, written in neat, looping handwriting. Feminine. Deliberate. You didn't deserve him anyway. My heart dropped into a cold pool of dread. Not because I missed Robert, not because the photo hurt, but because the message wasn't from him. It was from her, the ex-girlfriend, the one whose perfume lingered in my bedroom that terrible afternoon, the one who escaped the moment I walked in but watched me from the driveway like she wanted to memorize my face. I stood there in the dim hallway, gripping the photo, every instinct in my body screaming that something was off. Robert was explosive, unstable, vengeful in his own pathetic way. But his ex, she had been quiet, calm, cold. And people like that didn't send messages for closure. They sent them as warnings, promises, foreshadowing. I locked the door, every lock, every window, set the alarm. Then I whispered into the empty house, not out of fear, but out of certainty. I'm done with the past, but the past isn't done with me. Outside, somewhere in the darkness, a twig snapped. I didn't look out the window. Some truths are better met in daylight.